Welcome to the Hey Docs podcast with your host, Jill Allen. Today, I am so excited to have Jeremy Salaz from Neon Canvas on the show with me. In this episode, we are talking about marketing and why it is so important to take a holistic approach to your brand, from creating your brand identity to marketing with a cohesive brand story. We're covering it all, so let's get going. Hey Docs, when it comes to marketing, I keep hearing that you're frustrated and that you don't know what you're paying for, or even if your marketing efforts are working. Are you wondering what your next marketing move should be? I would suggest you contact Mary Kay Miller and her team at Kaleidoscope. With their free digital marketing audit, you will get answers and solutions to your biggest marketing questions. Go to contactkl.com to request your free digital marketing audit today. When it comes to websites, SEO, and digital advertising, you don't know what you don't know till you know. Find out what you don't know today. That's contactkl.com. All right, Jeremy, I am so excited to have you on the show today. I have been looking forward to this. I know we're going to have a lot to talk about. So I'm wondering, the way I like to start off Hey Docs is to have my guests just tell a little bit about yourself. It would be hard pressed to find somebody who doesn't know who you are, but who you are, what you do with Neon Canvas. If you'll just indulge us with that.
Absolutely. First, thanks so much for having me. I love watching your podcast. You and I have a great rapport. I was really looking forward to this as well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I am the director of sales for Neon Canvas. And what my role is evaluate practices and make suggestions and educate them on their marketing strategies to better their practice. My whole goal is to help them understand all the nuances and niches that marketing entails to help them make the best decision for them and for their practice and to help them achieve their goals. So that's it in a nutshell. As marketing is got 7,000 verticals and different alleys and back ways of things happening. It's easier said than done. And
yeah, and I have to do a little shout out too, because you are a lot of times the brain behind all the amazing swag that Neon Canvas puts out there. And I have to say, you are the ones who people go, oh, remember when they did that this year? I'm doing that. You're always cutting edge on that. So am I correct? You are
Yeah, I'm a part of a grandeur team. So I will give them the props and the credit. Everybody works really hard at Neon Canvas and really strives to be the best. And so I'll take some credit for logistics, but the team really gets the full credit for everything that we do.
Yeah. And I love that. You guys are a great team. I know a lot of you on the team, and it is nice to see companies that work well together and just really come together to provide the best experience that they can for the clients that they're working with. And one of the things that I wanted to focus on when I was thinking about, okay, what should Jeremy and I talk about? Because like you said, there are a lot of verticals when it comes to marketing, and we could get off on a tangent in a lot of different ways. And who knows, we may get off on a tangent.
I'm always good with it.
But one of the things that I wanted to focus on was talking about the patient journey. And just really, what does that look like from a marketing focus? And what should the doctor be thinking about and how that actually relates to their practice? Because I think sometimes we focus so much on the patient journey as they come in, they have crooked teeth and they leave and they have straight teeth, right? That's their journey.
Right.
But it's not necessarily that when we're thinking about it from a marketing standpoint and a patient acquirement standpoint. So do you mind if we just start there with our discussion today?
Yeah, it's really the focus of what I do and what Neon Canvas does. And it's different for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
For every practice and every patient that match together, it's going to be a different avenue, right? But the patient journey can start anywhere. It can start from a video ad that they've seen pop up or social media, or they're on Amazon and they see a display ad for Invisalign, let's say, or
Mhm.
braces. And so
Mhm.
it gets them thinking. And so then they go through this, their whole journey is unique to them and how they search and their behavior. And so they'll go to, they'll talk to their friends. They will research what is Invisalign, right? What's the difference between clear aligners and braces? But you know who they're asking? They're asking Google, right?
Mhm.
That's where
Mhm.
the majority goes. So the patient goes to Google after they've got some sort of idea. They find whoever comes up first, right? Google's got algorithms that ranks people based on if they're adhering to their requirements and where they're located and what they're searching for. And they do their research. And once they get somewhere, if they like what they see, they will do one of two things. They'll either contact that office. They're
Mhm.
like, oh, yeah, this really jives with me. Or they'll do more research on the office, right? So then
Mhm.
it's on to social media, reviews, figuring out who does anybody that I know work at this practice, or has anybody
Yeah.
gone there? So it's a very long journey for the patient, which then we have to figure out as a marketing institution, the business,
Yeah.
how do I present myself? How do I find these patients or the ones that are right for me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting to think about because in you saying you touched on this, there isn't just like one starting point. Like I think I'm gonna date myself here. Back in the day, most patients opened up this big yellow book and went to O and went orthodontist and that was it. And maybe they might have had a dentist give them a card or tell them this is the doctor you go to, and they didn't do anything else. It was either yellow pages or doctor referral. I don't even think there was a lot at that time of even patient referrals going on as much, but definitely
Right.
not online searches because there wasn't computers a lot of times or things that we were using at that point. When we think about it now, as you were saying, it's so interesting to think that patient buyer journey could start with a conversation on a field or something in a neighborhood chat group to Google to there's so many entry points to
Yeah.
somebody starting to make a decision. And I know that that's really where you guys come in and really help just funnel and make sure that all of those touch points are coming together, I'm sure.
Yeah. And when it comes to marketing, that's such a buzzword. Marketing. We're a marketing agency. We do marketing. Oh, what do you do? We do marketing. I find what I found most of the time is that the people that say marketing don't really know what marketing is,
Mhm.
right? They're
Mhm.
talking, they think it's an avenue like advertising,
Mhm.
or it's making a brand, or just it's a finite piece. When we you and I talked about this before we even started. My brand, my marketing is my hat, right?
Yep.
Nobody's ever seen me unless you've seen me in a pool without a hat on, right? Like
Yep.
it's part of who I am. That's my brand. That's my marketing.
Yep.
Marketing is the person to the practice, and it really defines everything of how you represent yourself to the public and to other people. And yeah, you're absolutely right. The possibilities of finding people are endless. Even if a doctor or a friend tells a patient now, you have got to go see Dr. Kyle Fagala. He is the best orthodontist around.
Mhm.
What's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to go in and type in Dr. Fagala, Dr.
Yep.
Kyle Fagala, and they're going to click on his website, right? They're going to click on
Yep.
him. They're going to find out who he is. They're going to research
Mm.
where he's at, what he's doing. Does that fit my values, my brand, my
Yep.
personality? So
Yeah.
that's what we really focus on is customizing this strategy for the practice,
Yeah.
telling their story, getting them found, adhering to those algorithms that is looking for, so that it gets them found, gets them chosen, and gets the patients to be marketing for them.
Yeah, yeah. And you just said something that makes me think. I think so many times, especially with I work with a lot of startups, and one of the things that I'm constantly talking about with my startups is what's our brand going to be? And a lot of docs are very caught up in I got to have this logo. I got to have this color. I got to have this tag phrase. And not that all of that isn't important, but
Hmm.
one of the things that I think you guys do really well is bringing together that it's more than just the brand, the colors, the one dimensional, like it's the
Yeah.
color, it's the font, it's this, it's that. But I think you and I could both agree there's something that goes way beyond that. And you just said it. It's the
Yeah.
story of what that brand is. And I'm wondering if you could just pull that apart for us a little bit and talk about what that means to come up with a brand story and how that transcends into your
Yeah.
marketing and marketing strategy, potentially how that follows itself through onto the website, maybe the different things that they're doing.
Yeah. And again, all of that is their marketing strategy, right? Like the
Mhm.
brand,
Yes.
the website, it's all the marketing pieces. And so it's, again, it's a global situation.
Yeah.
But the brand, the who you are and who your practice, what you want your practice to be, excuse me, is the point that you have to focus on, because there are 40 other doctors within a 6 mile radius that are going to do the exact same thing as you are. They may have
Mhm.
trained at the same school. They may have had the same sort of residency. May have done an associateship the same length as you. Their cases are coming out beautifully, just like yours, right?
Yeah.
So what is going to attract me to you?
Yeah.
And doctors say all the time to me, I want as many starts as possible. I want to get as many starts in the door as possible. And I think, of course, like that's the goal.
Who wouldn't?
Absolutely. Like we want that for you too. But you got to remember that you have your own values, and not every patient is going to be the right for your practice. So you have to attract the patients that are your patients by showing off who you are in your global brand, in
Mhm.
your global marketing strategy. Your website needs to reflect the colors, the brand, tell your story, like you said,
Mhm.
right? It has to be cohesive across every platform on the internet, right? So if I go to this website and it's fantastic and it's really drawing me in, it's got puppies everywhere, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this. And then I get to your social media and it's nothing but before and afters and the doctor lecturing about why you should be wearing your night guard or put those Invisalign trays back in. Like that
Yeah.
doesn't fit. Like they don't
Right.
match up. And so it has to be cohesive. It has to be a strategy, and it has to continue every avenue, right?
Mhm.
And that runs right into traditional marketing, right? Like
Yep.
in the community, you have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that it's what you're saying is so important. And I feel like it can, at different points, become disjointed. I think it's so easy as business owners to get really dialed in and focused in on one thing and think, this doesn't really matter. It doesn't, like, I'm really focused on these ads or this
Google
one thing.
ads, social media. Yeah.
Exactly. It doesn't really matter that my website is really outdated and that picture of me doesn't even look like me anymore and whatever it is. And I
Yeah.
think now more than ever we've got so much exposure as business
Hmm.
owners, and really truly people can find out about anything they want with just a little searching. And if you start to see, I don't know, that where the brand is not coming together, I think it just puts a little bit of doubt if you do have a patient that's doing some research. And why I think it is so important, especially I'm going to say something here to my younger docs, why it's so important to really pay attention to this on the front end. But it isn't a pick it and stick it either. Like you have got to constantly be thinking of this all the time.
You're hitting a nail on the head right now, because marketing isn't a one and done,
Yeah.
right? Your practice isn't a one and done. Human behavior and search behavior is not a one and done, and technology is not a one and done, right? So everything is evolving. Your strategy, your marketing ventures, your way that you do business is going to evolve. So it all needs to continue It has to keep up with the Kardashians, as I like
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make the faux pas statement. You've got to stay up to date with your verticals, how you're working in your office, and keep showing how you're evolving, because that's what life is. You can't do the same thing over and over for years and years and
Yeah.
expect the same results.
Right.
And that's why I love marketing. It's never the same. It's not the same for any of our clients.
Mm.
It's all different. It's all telling their story. It's all customizing a strategy specific for them so that they can have a successful practice for long-term success.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I could not agree with you more. So I get asked this a lot.
Yes.
Jill, I got all my pieces put together. I've got it all pulled together. What should I be doing now? What type of marketing? What's that magic bullet out there that I should be doing that's going to get those patients in the door? I'm wondering if you can speak to that a little bit. Hey docs, let's talk about Smile Suite because it's not just another scheduling system. It's a game changer in the world of new patient management. And as a proud Smile Suite partner, I've witnessed the incredible impact it has on practices of all sizes. Smile Suite means your new patient calls and web leads are expertly handled 7 days a week, even during nights and weekends. And they offer top-notch customizable presentation software and seamless post-consultation follow-up. It's like having a secret weapon for your practice's success. Curious? Dive into the revolution at getsmilesuite.com. And don't forget to mention Hey Docs to unlock some extra goodies. Elevate your practice with Smile Suite because every smile deserves a suite of excellence. I'm not expecting you to tell us the magic bullet because you and I both know there is not one. But what are some things if we're speaking to a new doctor and you're saying, okay, doc, you just got to get these fundamental pieces in place when you're starting to think about marketing? Because I think there's a much different mindset, budget, view on somebody who's a brand new startup to somebody who's maybe a $2, $3, $4 million practice that is in a totally different arena, totally different budget. So would you mind speaking to that just a little bit?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And that's a great point. Now, no two practices are going to be the same, especially a startup versus somebody who's been around for 10 years and is crushing it, right? So for a startup, what we like to call it is the essentials, right? Like you have to have the essentials to get visible, get found, get chosen.
Yeah.
So what that entails anymore, before the internet or before we all had phones in our hands, it was having a good brand, being out in the community, supporting your local little league. Now it's make sure your website is hitting Google's algorithms. It's complying. It is focusing on the keywords that are being searched for in your area. This locality situation is very different. Seattle versus Denver are going to have two very different strategies when it comes to what the people are searching for, because nobody's searching for just orthodontists anymore. They're typing in, who's the best person to put braces on my 14-year-old son? And that may be a local long tail keyword search that is happening quite a bit. And so that's what we focus on. That's what you've got to focus on. The next point is advertising, right? Google ads, social media ads, display ads are, you're on Amazon and you see a little ad on the side or on any website. Having those pieces in place and targeting the patients that are searching for your services, it's ideal, key, because as you build out a new website, ianorthodontist.com is going directly to the bottom of Google because Google's, whoa, who are you? What do you do?
Page 10.
Page 10, exactly. Yeah. And it's not so much, they're not focused on the domain anymore. Google knows where you're at. It doesn't matter if you're denverorthodontist.com or Manhattan's best orthodontist. Google's not looking at that. Google is looking at the content and the physicality of where you are located versus where me and my phone are searching for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So All of these things together are your essentials to getting found, getting patients in the door,
Yeah.
converting, advertising, putting specific, and having a company that does research on those pieces so that you're not just spending money and hoping something sticks. You're hoping that you take the pasta out and you're hoping that it's al
That's
dente and
yeah.
you're going to throw it on you don't know how long it was in there and it just slimes against the wall. So it's got to be a very targeted strategy in order to work. And the last big piece is making sure that whoever's doing it, even if you're doing it yourself, you're looking at the data. You're based on what you are seeing in that data. And if you're not doing that, you're wasting money.
Yeah. And that is one thing I completely agree with you on. And that's something I tell all of my clients. If you're, like you just said, whether you're doing it yourself or you're working with a marketing company, if you're working with a marketing company, like those appointments that they are setting aside to make with you, like you guys do, to go through that data, to talk about, here's what we think we need to change, here's what we're seeing, that is, you have to make time for that. You cannot, again, just it can't be it's just a charge that comes off of my credit card every month and I'm sure it's working, but I'm not really going to do anything to, I don't have to worry about it. It's their job to worry about it. I think it truly is everybody needs to be thinking about it, worrying about it, making sure that everything, like you said, is working very cohesively, or there's going to be breaks, and then the breaks become breakdowns, and then it becomes my marketing just isn't working. It's just nothing is working.
Absolutely. That is so important that you can't just hire somebody to do everything for you. You're running a practice, you're running a business. It has to be a partnership. That company can only do that you're hiring can only do so much for you unless they're in your office,
Yeah.
right? And that's not happening unless you want to spend $400,000 to $500,000 a year to have somebody doing that, or to
Yeah.
have a team doing that. And so it's very important to maintain the level of communication, to be looking at that data, whether you want to or not, whether you understand it or not. Get somebody to explain it to you
Mhm.
because it's the most important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
There should be no marketing dollars being spent if you're not getting a return on it.
Yeah. And I just want to say this to anybody listening. Don't be afraid to say you don't know something. Just because you're a doctor or just because you're the office manager that's in charge of this campaign or whatever, if you don't understand something, ask until you understand. Because I think it just helps everybody. If it was somebody from your team, Jeremy, that was helping one of my docs, and if a doc doesn't understand, they can't do their job if they can't help the doctor, or if they think that the doctor
Yeah.
understands something and they don't, and you guys are a team. And that's one of the things that I have really appreciated about Neon Canvas. And I want you to just talk about this a little bit, how you come in and help on a holistic approach, in the sense that you're helping in all areas, but as a team coming alongside the practices. So I'm wondering if you can just talk about what Neon Canvas does that's maybe different than other companies or whatnot, that just helps a doctor along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is a really important piece of Neon Canvas, and it's why I love doing what I do because I have a team, huge team behind
Mhm.
me of experts who are way smarter than I am. They are way more creative and in tune with everything, teach me so much all the time, every day. And so you want to have, if you're going to work with an agency, you want to have people who know what they're doing, right?
Mhm.
And one person cannot do everything,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
It takes a village, like they say. So we've got at Neon, we have an account manager who is the doctor's direct liaison between all of our different teams. We've got web development, social media, SEO, ad teams, videographers, photographers, social, like the entire thing when it comes to marketing, every department of specialists that are
Mhm.
working specifically your strategy, right? And coming up with custom content, custom copy. The copywriters are incredible. I saw another podcast that talked about AI and AI being very new in orthodontia and healthcare, right? And if you're utilizing AI for everything, AI is not healthcare specific. It's great for if you're talking to somebody at a hair salon online and it's communicating with you. AI is not great yet
Mm-hmm.
for healthcare, right? And so you've got to have custom content that's written for you, about you. Everything that you do should be very specific to you. And that's what Neon does, right? We put together a strategy based on the needs of the
Mm-hmm.
practice, what their goals are, what they offer, and help them hit their goals.
Yeah. Oh, and again, what I have appreciated about you guys and knowing that this was founded out of some of the founders, Kyle being one of them, that is an orthodontist. So he understands what we are looking for when not that you guys just market and do this just for the orthodontic industry, but I think
Right.
there's a component of that is helpful to know that this isn't just and I have a lot of docs that use a lot of companies and they're like, I'll ask them all the time, have they done any dental or orthodontic marketing? No, my friend used them and they were really good for my friend's whatever restaurant or whatever it was. And I'm like, okay, well, do your homework on that. Where I
Right.
think that's where you guys definitely bring some differentiators there for sure.
Yeah. And I think one thing that you just said, having Kyle, it allowed us to really know the healthcare market, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
not just ortho, but healthcare in general, right? Because we then are able to really hone into the differences there. But Alex, our other
Mm-hmm.
founder, is a marketing genius, right? He is
Yep.
the one that created that revolving ability to drive into any market. We can go into any market, any vertical, as long as you're doing the research, you have the pieces to the puzzle, what you're talking about, and you're able to create a comprehensive, cohesive marketing
Mm-hmm.
strategy, it can be done. So I don't ever discount, like when somebody says, I'm going with a local person. Fantastic. Thank you for giving me the time to explain it to you. Make sure that you're getting taken care of. If you
Yes.
have questions, if they're telling you that they're going to guarantee you number one on Google, or they're going to they guarantee 50 new starts a month, like, take a pause, give me a ring, let's talk about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that any company could do it. It's a
Mm-hmm.
matter of if they are going to do it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That kind of leads me into, and I think this is for any business owner making a decision. And number one, we know that any of this is not inexpensive. It's something that we have to do. It's a very important part when I talk to my startups. It's a very important part of our budget that we are setting aside to work on marketing and to make sure we've got a good website. All the things that you've talked about. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about maybe some of the missteps that you see maybe younger practices, younger anybody, it doesn't even have to be a doctor, but maybe just some marketing missteps that you see people blunder into and then struggle with, because I think that's what, especially being newer, and I know a lot of my listeners are newer, that's what we're all so afraid of, right? Is making a colossal mistake at a huge expense when you don't have the money to bail yourself back out of it. That's one thing if you make a big mistake, $50,000 mistake, if you're a $3 or $4 million practice. It's another thing if you make a $50,000 mistake, you just took out a loan for 700,000 and you don't have anything else behind you. So would you mind maybe talking to that a bit?
Yeah. And I think that this is a great next place from where I was just at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can choose whoever you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody local, they help my other practice or my friend's restaurant grow. Okay, great. What are they going to do for you? Because once you start down this road, Google placing authority on what you're doing, and if it's done wrong, it's going to be a lot harder to dig your way out than it is to do it right from the get-go. So this is the hardest piece. It's not cheap. It takes a lot of people be getting this thing rolling for you. You can't do it yourself. And making that decision, do it right the first time, and doing your research, figuring out, is the company doing this for other people? Are they outsourcing to another country? Are they utilizing artificial intelligence for all of my copy? Are they using the same copy for every website that they produce? Are they using the same content? It's a lot of work, but you've got to do the work in order to make sure that you are not digging yourself a hole. And I think I've been doing this a long time. And things have changed immensely since I started as well. So it is paramount now, and it takes a lot of time and effort and energy. But if you do it right from the get-go, you put the pieces in place. And like I said earlier, like, it could be that local marketing agency, it could be a friend of a friend or whatever. As long as they're doing the right things and showing you that they're doing the right things and showing you the data surrounding it, you're in a good place.
Yeah.
You don't want to make decisions based on how cheap the strategy or the plan is, because you don't want your patients doing that. And if you have a cheap strategy and you have a cheap marketing platform, you're going to get those patients that want to do the same thing. And you want full case starts, right? Like, you want the whole meal deal.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, because that was great. And I loved what you just said there. What about, I feel like there are so many trends out there in marketing. Oh, you're absolutely ridiculous if you're doing Google ads. Oh, you're absolutely ridiculous if you're on Facebook. Oh, if you aren't a TikTok expert, you should focus on nothing else. You know, I mean, like, you hear it all, right? And it's almost like whiplash, right? You and I are both in the groups. We see it all the time. And yet you're like, run this way. Can you talk a little bit about maybe just settling our doctors down or having them? I think there's one thing to following the trends and being smart about following the trends. And do you jump early? Do you jump late? Is there any strategy that you think that doctors should be paying attention to in regard to all that we could be doing out there?
Yeah. This is just like that marketing question. What is marketing, right? Like, the trends are trends for a reason, right? People are following them. They like it. And so there are trends that go on. Google, Meta, TikTok, YouTube, right? They're where you spend your marketing dollars is really going to depend on you, right? I have tons of clients who hardly spend a lot of money on advertising because they are doing the TikToks and the dances and following those trends. I have a lot of doctors who are following the trends but aren't getting the same kind of return and are having to spend more money to get themselves found. So this is not a one size fits all. The number one question I get is, how much should I be spending on advertising? It beats me. What are you doing? Like, how much is it?
Yes. I love
Okay,
that
so
answer.
you tell
I love
me,
that
like,
answer. Yes.
no idea. That's not something that I can answer for you, right? Like, how much will it cost to place ads on Google and Meta and TikTok and wherever? What kind of ads are you wanting to place? What campaigns are we running? There are so many different variables that I get that it's literally one of the number one questions that doctors have been asking me for years and years, and I all but refuse to answer. Like, got beats me. I'm not an SEM specialist. I'm not a search engine.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm not the one doing it. So you need to put together a strategy with your specialist, and then they will come up with some tangible reasons as to where and why and what and how much. Right?
Yeah. And then pay attention to it. And then it all goes back to, and I agree with you, there isn't a magic number out there. I see doctors spending all different amounts. I see doctors taking all different approaches to their marketing. And
Yeah.
the ones that do really well are the ones that are really focused in on paying attention to it. What's my return on investment? Am I constantly tweaking? Do I have a team that I'm working with that's helping me constantly tweak it and not
Yeah.
being afraid to pivot? It isn't I love what you just said. It is not a one size fits all approach. You don't just pick it and stick it and say, I spend $7,000 a month and this is all I do and it's going to be
Yeah.
glorious. It's constantly, I think about it like little levers, right? We're
Yeah.
constantly adjusting those levers.
Twisting,
Yeah.
changing. Yeah.
Yeah.
The evolution. And the other piece of this is you can get stuck with people who will say, oh, the more money you put in, the more you're going to get out. That's not a good strategy, right? That's not a targeted strategy. You're not focused. You're not getting good returns because you can't just dump money into something and hope it sticks, right? That's fishing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just sit there. I know you like to fish. I hate fishing. I think it's the most boring thing in the world. I do not like to just sit there and wait.
Yeah.
I like to hunt, right? I
Yeah.
know, and I don't really hunt, but I could imagine myself really liking to hunt. If I was going to be real like woodsy and doing that stuff, fishing is not where it's at for me. And it shouldn't be for the doctors either.
Yeah. Yeah. I only like to fish in the sense that if I am going to fish, which I'm not a big fisherman, I could probably get a pretty good tan with a good book and maybe a nice cocktail. That's okay, my
well,
style
I like
of
your type of fishing. Okay, I like that type of fishing too. Yeah, absolutely.
So as we wrap up here, if you could leave us with, I don't know, like one really good takeaway. You've just been dropping great pearls the whole way through here, but one major marketing, hey docs, if I could leave you with this one thing, what would that be? Especially maybe when they're thinking about marketing into the future or something they need to be thinking about right now.
Yeah. The one thing that I constantly am trying to get across to everybody, and I said it at the very beginning, is that marketing is everything. It's global. It is not one piece. It's not one thing. It's not advertising. It's not a billboard. It's not this or that.
Mm-hmm.
Marketing is a comprehensive in total piece of the package when it comes to your practice and your brand and your identity and who your practice is. And I know it's very rare that anybody really understands that concept. Marketing is always talked about as one thing or the other, advertising, whatever. So I say the biggest thing that I like to educate clients on is remember that this whole thing is one full train composed of lots of different cars that go together.
Yeah.
And if one gets disconnected or you hire one train to do one thing and one train to do another thing, they're going to go at different paces and at different speeds, and they're not going to get you to the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
So you've got to think about it globally for your whole practice. Glasses that you're wearing there, they're very cute. That's your brand, right? That's who you are. That's your marketing. And it's part of what you want to portray to people in public.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that analogy of the trains because you're absolutely right. I think about even the domino game. You get all these, if you think about all these different marketing strategies, everybody's going in their own direction.
Yeah.
It's really hard to have a brand that's cohesive when everything is running in different directions. So great analogy there. So
and in today's age, it has to be together or else it's going to take you forever to get those cars on the same track.
Yeah.
That's a big
So
thing.
as we finish up, somebody wants to get a hold of you, Jeremy, or reach out to Neon Canvas, but what's going to be the best way that they can do that?
Yeah, the very best way to get a hold of us at Neon Canvas is neoncanvas.com. Go to our website. You can contact me directly, Jeremy at neoncanvas.com, or contact Jill. She's got my phone number. And yeah, absolutely. You do your research, find out what people are doing, and don't be afraid to talk to a lot of different people. You will find who's the best fit for you by doing that. Do your research, talk to different people. And that's really like the best way to find out who's going to help you in the manner that you want them to.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeremy, this has been such a pleasure. Like I said, I've been looking forward
Yeah,
to doing this
me
with
too.
you. I always have so much fun when we get together, whether it's at a conference. And for anybody listening, if you're at a conference, Jeremy is going to be there more than likely. And you will always have a good time if you make time to go in and talk to him. But the way I like to finish up Hey Docs, if I'm sure you know this because you've watched and listened, is I like to do the
Okay, I'm
speed
ready.
round. All right, here we
Yeah,
go.
all right.
What's your go-to productivity tool? Your personal one. Ooh, I like that. All right, early bird or night owl?
Forced early bird, but night owl by nature.
Prefer the night
Yeah.
owl.
Yeah, it just works out better for me that way. But I tend to get up pretty early now and put myself to bed early. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That darn adulting. That
Oh,
stinks, man.
I know.
What was your first?
I was a paper boy. Yeah,
Oh, love
10
it.
years old, 10 till I was 14. And then I taught swim lessons.
I
So,
always think about that
yeah.
movie, and now it's going to escape the name of me. $2. I want your
Uh,
$2. It was some skiing '80s horrible movie, but it was really funny.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, okay.
Somebody will send me in and be like, Jill, of course it
Somebody
was
will be
this
like,
movie.
this is the movie. Yeah.
I know. It'll come to us when we're done here. All right. What
Yeah,
would
yeah.
you say has had the most impact on your professional life?
My mom and education. Yeah. And my grandfather, the two of them. My mom's an educator. She really instilled that in me. And my grandfather was a lieutenant colonel in the army. So I'm very militant and
Yeah.
to the precision with everything that I do. So
Yeah.
those two things really I put into everything that I do. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. And I can definitely see that. And then, final one, what's one business skill you think everybody should have?
I was just talking about this yesterday. I think everybody should work at the Cheesecake Factory for at least 1 year. Yeah, so being able to serve tables at the Cheesecake Factory or a restaurant of the same stature, I think is paramount. If somebody came to me and I was hiring and they said I worked at the Cheesecake Factory for a year or more, they would get definite
Yep.
consideration in my book. Yeah.
Yep, that's awesome. That's great. That's great. Jeremy, this has been, again, a pleasure having you. Thanks for spending your time with me. And I know our listeners just got a wealth of information from all your little pearls that you dropped with us. So thanks
Yeah.
again for being on. And I hope you'll join me again.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Jill. I appreciate it. And thanks for having me. I
Yep.
appreciate it.
All
Yeah.
right. See you later.